Hi everyone. I just wanted to let you know about a conversation I had with a client yesterday evening. So I got a phone call from a young lady who said that she had done the diet about 2 years ago and did really well, lost 2 stones in a short space of time, was absolutely thrilled with the results, but she'd put the 2 stones back on. And here she was, 2 stones back on, not feeling so great about herself, and wondering what does she do from here. The other thing that she mentioned was that she didn't know if she should do the program again because she felt like it didn't really work because the 2 stones came back on. So I just really wanted to address this here because this is something that I have heard of before. People say, oh, I lost weight and I put it all back on. And in fairness, I've heard that from many people saying that about different diets, not necessarily this one. So I said to the young lady, look, at the end of the day, eating too many calories or more calories than what you're burning day to day is going to cause you to gain weight. And there is no diet on the planet that is going to protect you from that. That is how the body is designed to work. So that's one thing. The other is when you're dieting, your metabolism isn't having to work as hard. And again, this applies to every diet. If you're taking in less calories, your metabolism doesn't have to put out so much effort because you are eating less. It has less work to do. So let's say we go from a reduced calorie intake. Let's say, for example, we're on 1200 calories a day. For example, we might be doing step 4 of Cambridge, or we might be doing an alternative to that. And we decide, for whatever reason, we're not doing the diet anymore, or we've reached a target, and then we slip into old habits. So those old habits that caused us to have to go on a diet in the first place are now causing us to eat perhaps 3,500 calories per day. And initially, our body is going from being on a diet, therefore having a metabolism that's working at less than its capacity. Let's say your metabolism is running at 70% rather than 100% because you're on a diet. And then we go and start eating 3,500 calories. We are eating those 3,500 calories on top of a metabolism that is only running at 70% initially. Now the metabolism will speed up, but at the end of the day, 3,500 calories is too much for most people, unless they're particularly active. The other thing I explained to the lady is that the 2 stones was off, and as it started to come back on and she started to feel it in her clothes, what made her not then decide, well, actually my clothes are starting not to fit, I had better get back on track or do something about this in some way. So I just wanted to put this out there because this applies not just to Cambridge, it applies to every diet or food lifestyle change that you make. If you aren't consistent or haven't planned out the end to the program, you may well find that you lose some weight and then put it back on, or put some of it back on. What's needed for long-term weight maintenance is a change of habits, not just for the short term but for the long term. Once you start consuming more calories than your body is able to burn, you are going to put on weight. Okay. With Cambridge, I can't speak for other programs because it's Cambridge that I know very well. I know it inside out. I'm a Cambridge consultant. let's say you've been using step 2 or 3, the best advice I can give you is to follow through with the steps. So let's say, for example, you've been doing step 2. So step 2, 3 Cambridge items, a milk stroke yogurt allowance, and a meal in the evening. Once you've lost a particular amount of weight, or once your BMI gets to a certain point, and your own consultant will advise you on when is the right time to start doing this, you would want to then start working your way through the rest of the Cambridge steps, because in an ideal situation we don't want you to have just done step 2 all the way to your target and then that's the end of it. We want you to lose a significant amount of weight, or the majority of the weight that you've got to lose, and then start making your way through the Cambridge steps, increasing your calorie intake gradually. And this is a part of the process that we call it stabilization, but it does actually help stabilize your weight. So rather than swinging up and down, I know there's some of you that all you seem to know is Soul Source. I do Soul Source for 6 weeks because I'm going on holiday. And then you go on holiday and start gorging on 4,000 calories a day at the all-inclusive resort, and then come back and have to do the diet again for 6 weeks to get it back off again. If you want a better outcome overall, you're going to have to find this middle ground and actually work with food. Get used to portion sizes, know the types of foods that you should be eating, because you'll see that you can take on up to a certain amount of calories without putting weight on, but you need to work through the Cambridge steps. Again, your Cambridge consultant is there to advise you exactly when and how, because this is going to be different for different people, the time at when to start this process. But it is common that the people who do the steps, who follow the program all the way through, are the long-term maintainers. They're not swinging up and down wildly in terms of weight losses and gains. And this is what we want for you. This is actually what we want, long-term successes, but we can't push you to do something that you don't want to do. This has to come from yourself, and if you're not tired yet of swinging up and down and yo-yoing because you're not finding that middle ground and how to behave around food and learn that self-control, it takes practice, and your Cambridge consultant is there to work with you to get that practice. So the best advice I can give to you is work through the Cambridge steps. They are there to help you. Work with your consultant. This is teamwork, and just know that you can do it. You can lose weight and you can keep it off. It doesn't matter which diet you're doing. If you're not addressing your long-term eating habits, you may find yourself getting into a bit of a pickle. So that's just some tips from me. Take care.